Well, it's harvest day today. I like to start with the root veggies, so I'm going to start with these carrots. Started these back in October, put them in the polytunnel until the beginning of April, and put them outside. And they're little beauties, really. I mean, obviously they're small at this time of year, but perfectly formed, as they say. Absolutely great in the salads. Need to keep on top of the watering, but apart from that, looking lovely. So next up are the potatoes. All of these are ready for harvest down here. So I started these 14th of January. Got my next batch there, next batch over there. And so I've got plenty of potatoes. I'm going to pick a mix here of Swift and Vita Noir, the purple ones. I always start my early potatoes in small pots in the house, and then I transplant them into these pots in the greenhouse a few weeks later. Swift are a very nice little potato, really. But I don't think the yield's quite as good as the Vita Noirs. So that's a modest harvest of the Swift. From 2 tubers. And yeah, here's the Vita Noirs. Looking really rather splendid by comparison, and they taste better as well, so really there's not much to complain about. Yes, this looks like quite a lot bigger harvest and better sizes as well, and obviously they just look lovely, and yeah, very happy with these. And these are from home saved seeds. Like most of my earlies, I try to home save them. I don't find that I can home save Swift because they just degrade. They just don't keep very well, whereas the Vita Noir keep really well. In fact, I think we had our last Vita Noir from the store in March sort of time. And they're still really nice condition. And I'll be reconditioning this compost actually. And using it again for the next batch of potatoes, which I will be planting in June. My so-called Christmas potatoes, although we actually tend not to harvest them at Christmas. I prefer to keep those until March and April. We'll clean up really nicely. The Vita Noir are blemish free, and there's a few little spots of scab on some of the Swift, so yeah, not a lot in it really. So the beetroots in the store are coming to the end now, so I'm just going to pick just a few of the beetroot from the greenhouse. On the polytunnel rather. They're not too bad. That's the golden ones. I just probably picked the biggest one of these. Yeah, that's not too bad. They're quite respectable really, and that'll have to do because, as I say, we haven't got a huge amount of beetroot in here. We've got a few outside as well, and the main crop beetroot beds, or the summer beds really, they're just starting to root up now, so they're quite a long way behind. The peas are absolutely dripping. The early peas are just starting to finish now, but these are the Mange 2 Oregon sugar pods, and these are the sugar snaps, and we've already had 2 successions of peas from the greenhouse, so as I say, they're just finishing. These are just starting. So next up are the onions. We've still got quite a few onions in store, but I think it's still going to be nice to pick just a few of these. I'll probably pick some of the ones from clumps that have got 3 onions in them, so I can leave the other 2 to size up a bit more. Because we've got plenty of time left. But I think that's going to be a nice solution. Well, those are perfectly respectable for this time of year, I think. I'll do the same with this elephant garlic. I'll just thin out some of it, because it's very densely planted. I only want 1 plant in any clump. And I use the elephant garlic as a leek substitute. Works really nicely like that. We haven't got a huge amount, so I'm only going to pick just a couple of stems. And obviously you can also use the wet garlic bulb as well. I've got loads of green garlic to pick from the kitchen garden as well. So now it's time to pick some collies. So I started these late September and planted them out in these beds in February after the winter lettuce crop. And they're looking really rather lovely. The white ones come first. And the purple ones come a little bit later. So I kind of get a succession, so I just plant a mix. This one's got a bit of sun, so it's slightly purple, but we love purple cauliflowers, so we're definitely not complaining about that. And yeah, I'm going to have plenty for next week by the look of it. I've got 3 successions of cauliflower, early cauliflowers on the go. And I'm growing in ground that's got club root, so I like to have the cauliflowers out nice and early. And that one's got, whoops, that one's got a little bit of slug damage, but it's not too bad. So we'll get those cleaned up. And then this is my next succession. These are just starting to come, but this one I think has got to come out, unfortunately. I'd hope to have left that for another week, but yeah, I think that'll have to come out. And I'm going to just pick some side shoots off this calabrese. I already picked the main heads last week, and side shoots are looking lovely. We picked the side shoots midweek as well, so this is the second picking of the side shoots, and this bed will soon be melons, so I'm not kind of hanging on to it for a long time. It's not like I'm short of calabrese at the moment, but those are nice to have. So most of my leafy greens are back in the kitchen garden at the moment, but I did just plant these few kales around the edge there. So I think I'll just pick a few bunches of those. And I also just picked a few of the more tender calabrese leaves. So the early red cabbages are just starting to heart up at the moment. So we're still on the spring cabbages. Started these in January, and I planted them out in March, And they're nice little Savoys. They're a mini Savoy variety called Paludium. Again, small but beautiful. I think I'll just leave that one in. But yeah, they're gorgeous, aren't they? And I think I'll just pick one of these spring cabbages. Oh yeah, that's hearted up beautifully. So I can't remember what variety these are. Let me just check. These are Caraflex. They're very nice. So these are my salad onions, or one of many beds of salad onions, and they're interplanted into the asparagus. The asparagus just pushes up. The onions aren't bothered. The asparagus isn't bothered. We're picking the asparagus every day, so there's not very much to pick today. So now I'm on to the Calabrese in the polytunnel. It's looking pretty good. I have to pick all of these heads, but then we'll have loads of side shoots next week. And then all this will get replanted with tomatoes and melons. So that's quite a lovely Brassica harvest there. That'll certainly keep the family going. So everything goes into these food safe brewing containers and sealed up and put in the shade while I finish the rest of the harvest. So I'm just going to pick a few of these early broad beans, which I started in November, I think. And they were in the polytunnel until the beginning of April. And the same with these Morange 2 peas, but to be honest, the ones that I grew outside are just as far on. So I love a mix of sugar snaps and Morange 2. To be honest, I think maybe the sugar snaps are my absolute favourite, but I mean, I'm not complaining about the Morange 2. The main crop peas though are well behind this, obviously. They're about that high, something like that. No flowers on them yet, so it's a nice time in this, getting these nice and early. And I think I started these back in January, planted them out early February, end of January, something like that, with a little bit of fleece wrapped around them, just to give them a little bit of protection. Peas are pretty hardy. I mean, it has been a good year weather-wise, but to be honest, peas don't really mind. And those are looking absolutely lovely. Main crop broad beans, all in flower, so not far behind. The early strawberries have almost finished now. I've taken them all out of the polytunnel and just cropping the last few. No more flowers on them, so I'll be cutting those back soon, ready for next year. And that's it for the allotment, and I'm going to head home now and start harvesting in the kitchen garden. So I'm back in the kitchen garden and got some courgettes to pick. I've got a couple of courgette plants. I've just moved these out of the greenhouse. Loads of green garlic. Probably some of it's wet garlic by now. Spinach, gonna pick quite a bit of that. A few heads of lettuce. And that's pretty much it really for the kitchen garden, I think. Apart from a few bits and pieces from the greenhouse. So more courgettes in here. Loads of cucumbers, which we pick every day. I don't know whether there's any left on, but there's a few. still to pick. And French beans soon, but not quite yet. Loads of strawberries and tomatoes still to come. Oh, maybe we've got our first tomato there. Loads of lovely sun golds on the way. Early peppers are just starting to turn, so they won't be very long now. I've got, I don't know, 12 plants, something like that. All of my main crops are in the ground as well now. I've got 36 of those. So this is my favourite lettuce. It's called Half-Lex. It doesn't look much, to be honest, but if I just try and isolate one of the, it is so tasty and so crunchy. I love it. Can't get enough of it. Anyway, spinner. We just spin everything, wash everything, spin everything, and pack everything. And because we're growing mostly for ourselves and the kids, we want everything to be a supermarket level of convenience. Better than supermarket quality, of course, but supermarket level of convenience. So there's a few of my favourite lettuces at this time of year. Navara, which is a real beauty. It's probably my second or third favourite lettuce at this time of year, but if I had to choose one lettuce for spring, summer and autumn, it would probably be Navara. It's really lovely. And then we've got Flashy Lightning Butter Oak, an improved version of Flashy Butter Oak, as the name suggests. Really buttery. It's very nice. And Canasta, that's Canasta grown in the shade. That's Canasta grown in the sun. Very, very crunchy, so it's a bit like an iceberg. It's a crisp head. Really like it, and I like all this bronzy colouring on it. And as I mentioned before, Half-Lex. I grow loads more different varieties just for, you know, texture and taste, but those are the ones, that's my short list of today's batch. So I get there in the end. Not a bad little harvest for the Hungry Gap. This is my objective, just fill the table each week of the year. Got some spinach, got some bits and pieces that I picked during the week, kales and things like that, cabbages and bits and pieces. Asparagus that we picked during the week. This is the green garlic, actually starting to be a bit of wet garlic there, you know, the wet garlic being the bulbs there, and the green garlic being the stems. And green garlic I just think is a bit like a garlicky leek, really. And then we've got the elephant garlic, wet garlic bulbs and leek-like stems. As I said, last of those scrappy peas from the early crop, and beautiful new peas. I don't know who's going to be eating those, not me. And then onions, and there's the fresh onions, looking beautiful. Beetroot from the store, last of the beetroot really from the store, fresh beetroot from the ground. Broad beans, didn't pick very many of those. I don't really want to pick too many, but there's enough for a meal there, and decent beans in there, and leave the rest to grow on a bit. Crown Prince, got lots of that left. Yeah, loads and loads of calabrese, as you saw, loads of cauliflowers, looking gorgeous. The purple Vita Noir potatoes and the Swift white potatoes, and then loads and loads have just cleared a bed of radishes and baby turnips, and we've got another couple of containers of those there, and that's the last of the radishes and turnips now, so that'll last us 3 weeks, and we won't have any more because by then we'll be in summer. We don't eat radishes and turnips in summer. What we do eat are lots of cucumbers. They're coming on really nice, and it looks like next week we'll have tomatoes, maybe not quite enough to keep us going, but probably by the week after we will. And yeah, salad onions, just loads of those. I love these purple salad onions, really gorgeous. They're Lilia. Napoli carrots, plenty there, looking really nice actually. We'll munch one of those in a few minutes time. And some lovely chard, starting to go to seed now, but it's still looking pretty good. That little cabbage, and we're going to have some baby red cabbages soon actually. I was just looking at those a few minutes ago. And the savoys, and all the salad bases, which I'm going to make up now into complete salads. And then I'm done. My name's Steve. I'll see you soon.